Hello everyone and welcome to World of Goo. This is a game that I played when I was younger, and it's a simple puzzle game about building towers of these small little goobles. I thought it'd be fun to play through it again and see if it holds up, and then I'll go into the story, because this game actually has a tiny bit of lore. World of Goo is a physics-based puzzle game, where the objective is to get to the pipe in each level. It's a simple concept, but the variation in levels is what makes the game good. Our journey starts in the Goo-filled hills. Our mysterious guide through this strange land, the sign painter, is introduced here, giving us some sort of explanation as to what's going on. Pipes have appeared out of the sky, and all the goobles in the land are heading towards them for unknown reasons. We soon find out that the pipes lead to the World of Goo Corporation campus, where the goobles are all building a tower collectively up to the sky, still for unknown reasons. The World of Goo Corporation are essentially the bad guys of the story, but more on them later. The first few levels are simple tutorials for the player, introducing them to the first kinds of gooble. As with any good puzzle game, World of Goo has variation in its puzzle design, thanks for variation in terrain and type of gooble. All the goobles here are relatively simple. Basic goobles can't be reused after being placed, and are the most common kind of gooble. Green goobles can be replaced after being used. Balloons are also found here, and are pretty self-explanatory, being able to lift up your structures. While simple, these concepts are still used in pretty useful and cool ways. Fisty's Bog mixes bridge building with managing how high and low your structures are with balloons. Here's a fun concept. You build up a big tower in the sky. Okay, so maybe not that one. But that leads nicely into the final level of this chapter. The regurgitation pumping station. Disgusting though the name is, this level is really cool. The goobles find themselves in a factory of one of World of Goo's products, more on that later, and have to escape. After building what is likely the player's largest structure so far, the goobles make it to the top of the factory where eye balloons are waiting for them. The factory itself is a monster, well, at least the name now makes sense. And with that, the goobles make their way into the sky and beyond. So concludes Chapter 1. Straight off the bat we're introduced to a new type of goo. This goo acts like water and can go down to places where normal goo can't. However, it obviously can't go upwards. Well, until this level. I remember getting really stuck on this one when I was younger. It's at this point that we unlock the whistle, which allows us to control where the goobles go, allowing us to control the weight of our contraptions. The next goo introduced is beauty goo. They're normally the special criteria for beating a level, and often have their own specific pipes. Moving on to Chapter 3. Yeah, Chapter 3 is a pretty big tone shift. The grassy hills of Chapter 1 and 2 are replaced by mechanical and industrial settings. Fire and explosions are the new themes. The land lies decaying and lifeless, and there's constant mention of progress. If you hadn't got it by now, this game is anti-corporation. The World of Goo Corporation are a greedy conglomerate spreading like a disease, using the innocent goobles in their products, as shown by these really uncomfortable cutscenes. And what's all this talk of Product Z? Everything changes in Chapter 4. Apparently. After a few more levels, we finally get to see for ourselves. Now that the world's in 3D, we need to travel to the information superhighway. How do we get here from a simple game about building towers? And maybe, just maybe, we'll get answers. Why are the goobles going into the pipes? And who's Mum, who appears in the background of some levels? Chapter 4 is the final full chapter in World of Goo. The information superhighway is the culmination of ideas and knowledge of the world. However, it's fallen into disrepair and hasn't been used for years. Also, I could be overthinking this, but could the fact that the place of knowledge has fallen into disrepair be symbolic of the general public becoming complicit with the World of Goo's destructive actions, stunting development in arts and a sustainable future with corporate schemes to get rich without thinking about the consequences? The goobles here are pretty tame compared to other areas, the only cool gimmick being an infection that allows goobles to attach to each other. There's some Angry Birds space shenanigans too. The graphics are tuned up around level 4 onwards, as well as introducing these weird block goo creatures. With that, we reach the final level of this computer adventure, Mum's computer. Here we'll get answers. I was confused for some time as to what I was actually meant to do here. You actually just have to stack up applications to the top of the screen. Where eventually you meet Mum. Mum is a search engine that's fallen out of use by the major public. There are a few routes of text you can go down with her. One does nothing, one progresses the story, and one shuts the game. No, seriously. Guess which one I got on my first attempt? But it's the third dialogue path that progresses the story. You ask, how can I destroy a large corporation? You ask for every bit of spam email she's ever sent to be sent to the World of Goo Corporation. You go on one final trip to the recycling bin to undelete the emails. And then... While that would be the end of it, there's actually an epilogue once you beat Chapter 4. This epilogue contains, by far, the 3 most difficult levels in World of Goo. The first of these is moderately annoying. The second is a good challenge. But the third one, oh the third one. This level equated to a quarter of my total playtime on this game. Eventually though, I started to get the right idea. Do what the goobles do. Instead of going across, go up. And eventually, I made it. Just not with enough goobles. 7 short in fact. But with enough attempts. Finally, it was over. And so, we move on to the observatory observation station. use these weird flying goobles, I'm not sure why they're not just balloons, to lift up the island. And then we see and that was World of Goo. I really enjoyed making this video, so thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.